Saber fans, it's your old pal, Megtooth Sith. And this week we got something real special. We're going to interview some Saber nerd. You nerds out there, we're going to interview you one at a time before we get through them all. You need to know those Saber nerds. You know, it's good to get to know your fellow Saber enthusiasts because you never know when somebody like Uncle Luke's going to come and strike you down. Or try to strike you down. Ah! That Saber's cool.
I will do what I must. You will try.
This is the bill that made my grandfather the great man he is.
Revenge is not the
My
Jedi
grandfather
way.
was something. I guess she's my cousin or something.
Jedi.
Traitor!
Do what I must.
Then you will die.
Grandfather.
Your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough.
Yeah, he killed 30 kids with it.
Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we going to do?
The weapon of a Jedi Knight. Clumsy or rapid. An elegant weapon for a more civilized age.
What's up with Ben and Luke? I was trying to kill my people, man. See, there's old, good old Uncle Luke trying to take out my family.
Strike me down with all of your hatred, and your journey towards the dark side will be complete.
Palpatine's kind of a jerk. What's up, cuz? The Darksaber is kind of awesome. You know, I hate to admit this, but Uncle Luke obviously inherited some great skills from my grandfather. Now there's an awesome lightsaber.
You're so right.
You people think I'd put in a perfect Mary Sue beating me in the woods? Fat chance on that. See you next time, suckers.
Greetings, Saber fans. Light them up if you got them. Star Killer action there. Welcome to Tuesday, everybody. And it's good to see everybody. Hopefully my audio's on. Good evening, Cindy. Saw Bobby and Max out there earlier, so that's pretty cool. And, got a whole lot to hit tonight. So hopefully get some more people in the room. Till we get some more people in the room, just kind of wanted to show y'all some stuff. So the Stormtrooper boots, I wanted to show you guys these things. It's like watching, family vacation or Christmas vacation. These are like Cousin Eddie boots, man. If you wore these with anything else but a TK outfit, people be staring at you for sure. Those things are ugly, but those are my TK boots. Those are pretty wild. So, hopefully the audio is working, guys. Somebody give me feedback and let me know if the audio is working. Of course, it looks like we only have one viewer right now. Cindy, you're it. Everyone else is gone. This will be quick if we're only going to have one viewer. But for those that didn't see it last week, there's the old TK bucket. And I know my notification just went out, so hopefully we'll get some more viewers now. But there's the old TK bucket. And it's pretty awesome. And I'm looking forward to trooping, and we'll have a lot of fun. So sweet. Cindy said we do have good audio, so that's awesome. So basically, really quick, I wanted to let y'all know, especially for those that tune in tonight or tune in and watch the replay, I do have 4 blades that are going to drop. Actually 5. The first 2 are heavy grade NeoPixel blades. So you got one clear with a the strip diffuser, and one that's trans white. And I'm going to be selling these, and I got a video. It's all going to be dropping on my Facebook page and YouTube channel, so keep an eye on all that. Prices will be there. Next, this is pretty cool, is these are 2 triple strip blades, and I got one in the photonic green and one trans white, and both those are triple blades with the old TriStar kits from Civilized Sabers from Space Windu. So those 4 blades there will be dropping, and those are all highly specialized blades. And then also I have just a standard KR pixel stick in clear with the strip diffuser tube that I'll also be dropping that thing. So those will be going for sale on my website, and they won't be anywhere else. Those are all hard to find blades. Those thick walled blades are just hard to find. Nobody really makes a lot of those. I haven't seen a lot of them for sale. So I'll have those for sale on my YouTube channel and also on my Facebook page. And I'm hoping that more people will join in here either later or as the night goes on. But I wanted to quickly share another project while we're waiting for people to get on. So with my TK, I kind of had this was a 3D printed E11, and it's okay, but there are parts of it that aren't supposed to be silver, that are supposed to be flat black, and there's a lot of refinishing that needs to be done on this. And I'll do that refinishing before I troop. This is not an approvable E11 as it stands right now, but I'll make it approvable when I'm before I get done. But the cool part is that I used my new baby. So this is my new baby here. This is a Ender 3D Max, Ender 3 Max Plus, and it's my 3D printer that basically Benji Graham and Jeremy from Solo Sabers kind of talked me into getting a 3D printer, which is kind of amazing. And then here comes the bonus. This box contains all the parts that I need to build my E11. So there's the actual barrel for the E11, and here's the trigger and handle assembly here. So I got to put it all together. Here's the bolt that actually goes inside and slides back and forth. It's actually going to have an actuating bolt. So basically what I'm going to do, I'll kind of show you guys the plan. So I'm going to leave the bolt on mine actuating. So you'll be able to, actually slide this back so you can, expose the chamber. So the bolt will actually slide back, and then you can let it go and the spring will slide it back forward just like a real gun. The magazine will have a actual release on it. So the magazine actually comes out. I think I'm going to put the battery and the soundboard all in the battery case. And then on the Hexler counter here, I'm going to mount an OLED display screen that's going to display shot count, battery meter, and other things that I want. And then I'm going to build a chassis basically that's going to go forward of the bolt. So the chassis will be pretty short because it doesn't have to contain much. All it's going to have to contain is the battery and my Tri-Cree LED, which is going to be red, red, blue. I might go deep red, royal blue. I don't know. Or red, red, blue. It doesn't matter. It just needs to shoot red, and then it needs to stun blue. So, oh yeah. And basically the Profi board is going to go in the magazine with the battery. I'll have a trigger here. I'll put an auxiliary switch somewhere. I'll probably put an auxiliary switch, somewhere above the trigger so I can, change fonts or whatever. But the trigger will actually actuate and pull, and that's what will make the blaster shoot. And then the blast will, be visible out this hole via a Tri-Cree LED, red, red, blue. And then I'm probably going to even put NeoPixels inside the barrel, even though the barrel is, I'll show you, the barrel is perforated so that you know, as the barrel is perforated, but what happens is there's a bunch of these T-tracks like this that go, you know, in this area here that end up covering, you know, all the holes, as it were. Hey, Kybertech Sabers. So if you look on this E11, you know, all those holes are covered with T-tracks, but even when the holes are covered with T-track, there's still enough hole exposed that you'll be able to see the shot propagate. So that's why I'm going to put NeoPixel strips inside of here. And then, of course, if you're looking at the business end of the E11, you're actually going to, you know, see the tricree light up. And, you know, every blaster that I built, you know, I diffused my first one, and the second one I didn't diffuse it at all. And I don't think I'm going to diffuse this one. I think I'm just going to leave it open and just be real careful about not pointing it at people's eyes. I don't know. Y'all tell me what you think I should do there, but I'm not going to diffuse it. So I'm just going to leave a raw tricree with, you know, with the Carclo lens, focusing that and going out the end of the barrel. It's going to be like a class 3 laser. It's pretty awesome. So those are my plans for the E11, but I got a lot of sanding to do and a lot of painting. That all has to be sanded, primed, and once it's smooth, then painted flat black. And then, you know, some weathering done. And then once all that's done, then I'll start installing all the parts to turn it into my second Profi blaster that I built. And I'm already on the Crucible. You know, we're fixing to, I think we're going to kind of upgrade some of the Profi board capabilities on blasters. And one of the guys that I'm working with on the Crucible actually can help with the programming of that. So I think we're going to open up the Profi blaster prop file, which is basically the prop file you use for, you know, making a blaster. And I think we're going to improve on that prop file and make it so that Profi blasters have even more capability than you've even seen in my other videos. But no time like the present. So I want to get on with this because we don't have a lot of viewers tonight. And I know it's kind of crazy. It's near the end of the school year, and we may not get a lot of viewers tonight. I didn't have a whole lot of time to plan this, but I wanted to turn, you know, the Saber nerds back around on myself and answer all my stupid questions that I'm asking everybody else. And then hopefully next week we can get back to having guests on when I have time to do all that. You know, a lot of the stuff I was behind on at work, I'm starting to get caught up on, and hopefully I'll have time to, you know, invite people on. Before I get into that, see if we get anybody else on. You know, I 3D printed a bunch of Saber stands, and I'm going to show you guys my Saber collection now. But I had 3D printed this Saber stand, and, you know, it has a base. I'll show you guys. It has a base, and the base actually has an Imperial cog on it. I don't know if you can see that. So Edmundo, this is for you, buddy. I'm going to ship this off to Edmundo. Edmundo is basically trying to improve his lightsaber room, and, you know, he's going to need ways to, you know, display his lightsabers. And I actually built a bunch of Saber stands trying to figure out what worked for me. I'll show you all my stuff in a minute, but this is just a simple portable, you know, 3D printed 4-tier lightsaber stand, Mundo, and it's got the Imperial cog on it, which is pretty cool. I think you like the Rebels, but, you know, nobody's perfect. But I'm going to send that off to you, Edmundo, while you're building your Saber room. Now for the rest of you, I'm going to see if I can make this work. I'm going to try and share my screen, and I'm going to show you guys what I did with my lightsaber collection, which is going to be kind of crazy. So let me try to share the screen here. I'm going to go to present, and I'm going to go share screen. Share screen. I want to share the entire screen. I'm going to select it, click share. All right, so here we go. So now I'm going to open up this window, because that's what I want you guys to see. And this is another camera that I'll use. I don't know. Could be getting some weird audio and feedback and stuff, but I wanted to show you guys. So I want to show you guys the new collection. So this is the corner. Hang on a minute. Hopefully you guys can see it. That's my Kylo corner. So this is the Dark Force Sabers Transcendence, the Blood-Soaked Transcendence. Of course, that's Kylo's ship and the 501st Sith Lord's detachment patch. And then there's my KROR crossguard, and of course got my helmet in the middle. And then all my, the KROR crossguard, the blades and the blade guards are there. And then this is a custom saber. This is custom sabers here. So you got DV6. That was Property Board 2.2 beta. And hang on a minute, because I got to keep this on. And then the next saber is, that's my MHS. That's my Mako saber. This was my first lightsaber ever built. And then up top is my Darth Nihilus custom saber. And then, of course, here we have, my KR sabers. This is my Property Board 3.7 beta saber. And then above that is the Princess Leia that I built for Ella. And then above that, I have my brass KR Sabers flagship, which is installed with Property Board 2.2. And then this is one of my older baselit crossguard. This is a Black Series crossguard. This is an in-hilt conversion of the crossguard. So that's not NeoPixel. It's actually in-hilt, and it's run by NEC. And then I'll get to show you the rest of my stuff. Here is my Graflexes. And I know y'all are going to get seasick here, right? But this is my Graflex collection here, minus my, I'll show you in a minute. But there's, of course, there's my Mark, that's my Mark IV saber there. And there's Graflexes, and from bottom to top, we've got ESB, TFA, and then my A New Hope, which is the Mentor Graflex. It has the Mentor chassis in it there at the top. And then normally my, my Star Killer lightsaber is there. And then on this shelf, we have a bunch of Mando stuff, which is my Mando build for my Mando costume. I'm going to try and get the light on there to show you guys. But there's, a bunch of my Mando armor I'm in progress of building that. And then, all my Star Wars posters and my workstation, which you guys are used to seeing. And that's a mess right there. But there's my 3D printer under 3D Max. So I wanted to show that stuff to you guys before I start answering these questions. I'm going to sit down, and we're going to get rid of that screen. And we're going to stop sharing. And back to you guys. So here we go. We only got 2 viewers, and we'll make this quick. I appreciate Kybertech and Cindy joining in. I guess Max and Bobby had to leave, and hopefully some more viewers will join in later. This is what happens when you go off the air for 3 months. You lose a lot of your viewers because you're inconsistent, but we'll get them back. And, we'll try to get them back before we, start inviting guests on, because I want to make sure the guests that we invite on have viewers to hear what they have to say. So tonight, we'll hear what I have to say about these questions. So let's get on with it. So we're on this planet. Do you hail from Megtooth Sith? I am in Wilmington, North Carolina. And for those of y'all that don't know where Wilmington, North Carolina is, a lot of people know where Myrtle Beach, South Carolina is at. And I'm about an hour north of there on the coast. So I live near the beach. As a matter of fact, at night, from my backyard, I can hear the ocean churning. The ocean's about a mile away. One of my favorite beaches, which you can only get to by boat, is a mile away from my house. And my dog owns that island, all of it. He owns it all. It's his. He's a madman. I see we've come to the right place, right? So at any rate, I love where I live. I went down to visit my dad in the Keys one time, and I was flying home and flying back into Wilmington. And as we were circling Wilmington International Airport, we were actually circling over Wrightsville Beach and Masonboro Island and everything. And I looked down on home where I live, and I was like, wow, I think where we live is more beautiful than the Keys. And I still feel that way. I've lived all over the United States. I was born in Hawaii. I was a military brat. And, Wilmington, North Carolina is pretty cool place. So then, what's your profession? What's your day job? I'm a cop. A lot of people know that. I'm a 28-year cop. I'm almost retired. I'll be glad to put police work in my rearview mirror because it's really sucked the lifeblood out of me. And I'm hoping that maybe y'all will see me smile a lot more when I get rid of this job. It's not very fun being the police anymore at all. But at any rate, we'll soon put this in the rearview mirror. How old were you when you first saw a Star Wars movie? Well, I first saw A New Hope when it was called Star Wars in the movie theaters in 1977, and I would have been 6 because I was born in 1971. I'm 51, coming up on 52 this month is my birthday month. So I'll be 52 this month. So I was 6 years old when I saw Star Wars in the theaters. And that, of course, that was now A New Hope, but it was called Star Wars when it came out. I did see A New Hope first. That was the first one I saw. So who's your favorite character, Star Wars character? Darth Vader. I know that's crazy, but, you know, it's just Darth Vader. It's very simple. He's the coolest character of all time. Darth Vader, you know, what an incredible character George Lucas came up with. Just an incredible character. Scary, mysterious, unknown, the stuff of nightmares. In 1977, Darth Vader was certainly the stuff of nightmares. And, you know, I think some of the later stuff that we've done kind of, especially like Rogue One, really brought out what we all thought Vader was when we were kids. You know, he was just a scary, scary dude that could kill everybody. You didn't want to run into Vader in a dark alley. So, what's your favorite color lightsaber? Red. Red is my color. Feel like the gladiator. Red is your color. Red is what it is. Bobby. And hey, by the way, y'all, I know there's y'all. When I say y'all, there's only, you know, 1 or 2 of you on still. But if y'all have any questions, you know, throw them out there. Because if you don't, I'm just going to continue on down this list. So going down the list is what lightsabers do you currently own? Show them off. I think I showed them to you before we started this. So if y'all haven't seen that, go watch it. I have a couple more. I have an empty Darth Maul staff, and I have 2 empty MHS hilts that I haven't built. And, you know, that's about it other than what I've shown, and really don't want any more sabers. Oh, I have a dark saber too, but I don't want to own any more sabers than that. I've got plenty. Now, you know, now I'm into this. This is the next level, is getting into the props and the blasters. Now that I'm 3D printing, that's pretty cool. And to be honest with y'all, you know, for those of y'all that do not know, I am a Kylo Ren TFA in the 501st Legion, and building that costume and modifying the lightsaber is what got me into lightsabers in the first place. But my true love was costuming and cosplay, not necessarily for conventions, but I talked about, you know, trooping for kids that have cancer and that sort of thing is really what I would rather be doing and what I enjoy. So, you know, I kind of building that stormtrooper outfit, and I talked about this a little bit last week, kind of re-inspired me to get back into costuming. And, you know, I was so narrowly focused there for 5 or 6 years, maybe even more. I mean, basically since 2017. So I guess it's been 6, 7 years on lightsabers. And, you know, lightsabers, while they're cool, if you just have a lightsaber and not the character to wield it with, then you look kind of weak. Mundo, watch the video. I got a package that's coming to you, buddy. So I talked about it earlier in the video. I'm sending you a lightsaber stand, a 3D printed lightsaber stand. It's pretty cool. You have to watch it earlier in the video, but I'm glad you checked on because I know you're building your lightsaber room, and that's just a 3D printed lightsaber stand that I printed, and I can't use it because I had enough lightsaber stands for all my sabers without it, so I was zapping it to you. But anyway, thanks for checking in, Mundo. But yeah, I mean, I'm getting back into costuming and building that Mando. So, you know, once I finish this, you know, the E11 with the Profi board in it, which I'm going to try and get really moving on that thing rapidly. The finishing it and sanding it and painting it's going to be the hard part. I actually think the Profi install and everything else in it's going to be relatively easy. I mean, it got way more room than a lightsaber. You know, I mean, can you imagine how big of a speaker I'm going to be able to fit in that diameter? I mean, the speaker will be down in there. So, oh my God, it'll be able to take a big speaker. Hopefully it'll be loud. Oh, he got his, Bobby Susanbach got his Luke Hero V1. That's cool. That is the funny thing, Bobby, is I know everybody loves that saber. That is like my least favorite saber. Luke's lightsaber, my favorite one from Luke is, I appreciate it, Mundo. My favorite lightsaber from Luke is, of course, the Graflex. I'm always partial to the Graflex because that was the first thing we ever saw on screen. So, you know, that's what it is. So that gets to the next question. What is your favorite lightsaber? And I'm at a toss-up between A New Hope Graflex and TFA Kylo Ren, the crossguard. I like Darth Maul's staff as well. All those sabers are really unique. I love the Graflex, not because it is cool. I love the Graflex because it was the first one we saw. It was, what we first saw on screen. And when you saw that thing, you're like, what the hell is that? And then it lit up and you're like, oh my God, it's a laser sword or whatever. You didn't even know. And it's not as clumsy as a blaster. So it's a weapon from a more civilized age. And you're like, wow, what the hell does that mean? And then you saw one light up in Mos Eisley in the cantina and whack off an arm. And you're like, oh my God, these things are dangerous. But yeah, the first lightsaber you saw was the Graflex. So partial to that. And I really loved the idea of crossguard. I thought it was a really unique lightsaber. There's a close tie between a crossguard and the Maul, but I like crossguard a little bit better. So yeah, those are my favorite hilts. Which soundboard do you prefer? Well, actually, the first question is, oh yeah, you felt obligated. I know you did. You've got a progression. You've got a progression of lightsabers that's currently going on, Bobby. So it's only natural for you to do that. Which soundboards have I used? That's the next question. So I've used, I started off with NEC Spark Color, or Spark 2 was in my first Kylo Ren conversion. And then Kylo Ren, my second conversion was Spark Color 2, which is still what's in that saber I showed you earlier. That BS conversion is Spark Color 2, and it's still in-hilt LEDs, and it's deep red. So it's pretty cool. And the side, the Quillions are actually deep red singles. So that's still a really cool lightsaber, even though it's base lit LED. It's still powered by an NEC board. Those were the first boards I used. But then I broadened my horizons, and I actually installed a Nana Biscotti 4. Well, actually, I installed Nana Biscotti 3 and 2 as well. But, 4 was really the best Nana Biscotti. But the Nana Biscotti was actually in my ESB Graflex, which I later stripped out. And that ESB Graflex became my Profi board 1.5 beta testing saber. And I put an OLED display screen in there and tested Profi board in there. So that was like the first. Oh yeah, check out the back. The back is where it's at, which is pretty cool. Oh my God, 3D printer almost got wiped out. That wouldn't have been good. We had to save the 3D printer. But yeah. And, that got me into, of course, I did Teensy Sabers before I did that Profi board beta. And I still have a Kylo Ren crossguard conversion that's sporting a Teensy Saber up there, which is one of the sabers I did not show. And I have a Graflex that's still sporting Teensy Saber, and I think that's it that's still got Teensy Saber. So I still have 2 lightsabers that are sporting Teensy Saber. And then, of course, I built Profi board sabers. I have built Prism sabers before I built Profi and Teensy Saber. And I've also done KR Verso soundboard. In fact, Bobby Susanbach owns the Verso and I think he converted it out to Profi. Verso is cool, but it's like Profi Mega Light. Profi can really do so much more. And I've also done CFX, of course. And, there's always that constant battle between which board's better, CFX or Profi. And to me, they're both about the same. I prefer Profi, but they're both really about the same in all seriousness. I think there's a lot of things about CFX that are easy. And I think the one bonus that CFX has going for it right now, which I really think the Profi crowd needs to pay attention. Hey, Kendall Hall. I think the Profi crowd needs to pay attention to the simplicity of the stuff for CFX, like the blade, the blade effects where people can put a picture on their SD card and that's what the blade's going to do. And, the ease of changing fonts on CFX. I think is really what a lot of people are looking for. I realized that a lot of people jumped on Profi board because it had so many capabilities, but at the same time, it had so many capabilities and could be so complex that it really frustrates a lot of people. And I think the biggest thing that we as Profi board advocates need to do is simplify the OS and simplify the procedures and simplify changing sound fonts, which I think OS 6 has done a lot of. And OS 7 definitely has done a lot to repair that too, to make that simpler. The blade styles are still not simple on Profi. You still have to go to Fernando's website. You know, Fernando is a master. That 263 has awesome blade styles. It would be nice if we could simplify that a little bit so that was a little bit more user-friendly. But that's my biggest critique of Profi boards right now is, yes, they have tons of capabilities. Yes, they can run so much stuff. I mean, they can run so many NeoPixels and so many OLEDs and Bluetooth and everything else that is just, it can be overwhelming to a new user. I can certainly understand that. But as far as capabilities, I certainly think the Profi board really has, I think they have the market on the capabilities. But the problem is that's great that it has all those capabilities, but if you can't make it do those things, then it's of no use to you. And that's my word of warning to the Profi community is don't make it too complicated. When it gets too complicated, not fun, people are not going to buy it and they're not going to use it. And that's one thing that I think Irv Plechter has done very well at is keeping the CFX as simple as possible. And, you know, that's interesting. But at any rate, I don't want to get into a debate about soundboards because like Mundo said, it's all personal preference with boards. And I built Sabers with all sorts of soundboards in them. And I've actually enjoyed every lightsaber that I've ever built. I get just as much joy out of, you know, turning on a Nano Biscotti 4 for the first time and watching the blade light up and swinging it around as I do, you know, my Mentor Graflex, firing that up. To me, it was the same level of reward. So then the next question is, which soundboard do you prefer? I think I answered that. It's Profi board. And do I duel? No, I do not duel with lightsabers. Do I flow? I do not flow with lightsabers. I don't do that. Have you ever built, installed, or programmed your own lightsaber? Oh yeah, and you guys have seen a lot of them on the channel. And who is your favorite installer? Who is my favorite installer? I would have to say of all time, it was Shamim. And I really miss Shamim's videos. And I wish he was still around. But since he is not, this may shock some people. My favorite installer and the guy that I find extremely inspiring, and don't get me wrong, you know, Benji and and Jeremy from Solo Sabers, those and even Space Window. Those are all people that I look up to and admire. I think they're, you know, building some of the most fabulous sabers that are out there right now. And also Ozzy from Ozzy's AZY from Ozzy's Workshop. I believe he's in France. If you guys haven't seen AZ's Workshop Sabers, holy crap. I think he's probably the best designer. He has really unique tiered designs, layered designs on his hilts. He's incredible with those visions. But my current favorite installer that's active is Cal Jerome. And I love listening to Cal, and I love watching Cal. I like watching Cal's tutorial videos, even if he's doing something that I know how to do. Number one, because he's young. He's a kid. He's my son's age. Number two, because the guy's a tycoon. If any of that tycoon can rub off on me or I can figure out what's in his personality, that would be awesome. But, you know, Cal is, I really look up to him. He's really an inspiring character. You know, Cal and his whole family there have turned the Saber Armory into a tycoonery in London. I mean, the guy's a freaking entrepreneurial genius. And not only that, he loves lightsabers and loves installing lightsabers. So I was kind of glad to see Cal got to do some lightsaber installing here, you know, the other week, you know, instead of shipping packages. And, you know, I know Cal's moving into a bigger place, and hopefully he has enough money to hire some employees now, so maybe he can kind of push away being the only guy shipping all the orders to having somebody else doing all that mess for him. But yeah, Cal Dromi right now is my favorite installer, but Shamim it is for all time. So Cal, if you ever watch this or hear about it, congratulations. You're definitely an inspiring soul to me. So do you prefer, I'm sorry. Next question is, who is your favorite lightsaber manufacturer? I'd have to say I'm kind of partial to Corbanth. And I'm partial to Corbanth because I'm really an OT kind of guy, but I would say it's a close second with KR Sabers because the flagship is such a great hilt. And I guess my biggest gripe about Cal and KR Sabers is that Cal does runs and then he doesn't keep inventory or stock of those runs. And this is kind of like this. Like, I mean, I think this was a great hilt. But after his run, it was gone. It was like, if you didn't get on the run, you didn't get the hilt. And, as a Kylo Ren in the 501st Legion, I thought that was kind of a mistake by Cal because there was a massive shortage of crossguard lightsabers in the Kylo Ren community. And I think if Cal had mass-produced this saber and stocked it, and he didn't have to keep thousands of hilts on, hand, but I think if he would stock this, I think it would go off the shelves every day, for a couple of years. I mean, there was that much of a shortage of Kylo Ren hilts. The Black Series hilt left a lot to be desired. It was big, it was heavy, it was hard to convert. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I've converted, I think 10 or 11 Kylo Ren BS series hilts. But the KROR crossguard, I think, is kind of one of the best representations of it. And I just really wish he would mass produce that and kept it in stock. Do I have any personal hilt designs in mind? Mundo says. Mundo, I think, I really would kind of like to do another one of my Darth Nihilus hilts in MHS, but my Nihilus hilt was so long, I'd kind of like to shrink it down. And now that I have my own 3D printer, I can make a shorter crystal chamber than was capable when I built that saber, because I actually hand built that crystal chamber in that. And so that hilt was actually built around the crystal chamber and chassis. So I had to make the hilt a lot bigger, a lot longer than I wanted it. But yeah, one thing I'm kind of hoping, since I'm not doing commissions anymore and I'm just building, I'm going to build, I have a lot of sabers, y'all. So like behind that logo flag behind me is a closet, and the top of that closet's still full of empty hilts that are needing to be installed that I plan on installing, and I'll sell them as I install them. But I'm not going to be doing stuff for other people because I don't like being under a time crunch. I mean, I'll install them as I can. I mean, like this crossguard, I mean, I just haven't had time because of Jen's surgery, because I'm like, I make dinner, I have to clean the dishes. I have to go grocery shopping. I have to take Jen to work. I have to pick Jen up. I have to, get Jen to the bathroom. I have to, take Ella to school, pick Ella up from school. They had to take Ella to driver's ed. So, life is pretty busy since Jen's been injured. And, you never really realize how much you depend on somebody until they're done. But, the Nihilus Mundo, I think, really was my own design. While it was inspired by the Nihilus, it was certainly my own design that I built with MHS stuff. But outside of that, I really don't have anything that I want to build right now. But, I have visions that I would like to bring to life in MHS. And I think that's one of the reasons I wanted to push back on the commissions, was because I was building what everybody else wanted and kind of got out of why I got into this for the first place, which is, when I first built my first MHS saber, which was Mako, which, I can get that and show y'all. Stand by. I'll show you my MHS sabers. Just stand by a second. If I can reach them. Because they're up there. Oh, there's Mako. There's Nihilus. So Mako is actually waiting for me to, I need to reinstall Mako with probably a coffee board. But, this gives you kind of an idea of, some of what my visions are. But this was a little long too. Mako was a little long. Hey, Cole, this is the first lightsaber I ever built, y'all. But, as far as this style goes, it had an exposed crystal chamber, which I think I could do a better job at that. It did have a Graflex button, which spoke to, my love of Graflex. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's actually a Graflex button. And it has an external kill key. It has these LEDs that go back and forth in here, which is pretty cool. And it has this really sharp shroud, which you could stab somebody with. You're going to put an eye out, kid. And it has the choke section here, which is pretty crazy. Chet Osborne is on. That's awesome, Chet. But I want to kind of redo this with Profi board so it can kind of live on. But this was my first lightsaber. So that's, kind of, this shows you kind of where my brain's at. I like this kind of like crazy, almost prequels, shiny, kind of sharp, dangerous looking. I don't know. But I also like this kind of stuff. So this is my Nihilus inspired hilt. But my one criticism of this is even, trying to get where you can see it. That's basically, double hand lightsaber. It's pretty big. But this lightsaber was built around the chassis, which, the lightsaber ends, in here. The speaker well is down there. So a lot of this that goes past the speaker grill is just the swallowtail is for appearances. So, the lightsaber actually ends here. So this much is chassis, between the two hands, and the chassis is pretty big in this. So I'll take the chassis out so you guys can see it maybe. Yeah, it's going to let me get it off. So this thing is, this chassis was crazy, and it didn't just have a crystal chamber, but it also has this blade generator thing that's like a turbine thing that I put in there. So you can see the crystal chamber here, which I custom built. I'm trying to put that up near the camera so you can see it. And then you have this blade generator thing, here. So when you ignite the saber, the blade generator, which is dual pixels, they're spinning up. Oh, Jeremy. So the Sabers is on. So, that was that's a lot of stuff to incorporate. So, if you measure this in this MHS hilt, that's almost a good 3 or 4 inches there. But this was before 3D printing for me, even though this is 3D printed. So this is actually a Goth Designs chassis for MHS. But then the rest of this was a stick built, and I stick built the crystal chamber, and the fins are like washers that I cut and put stuff in. And those are actually like grease fittings in there that I put in. So this was all like a homemade, crystal chamber basically in this homemade saber. But what I'm saying is I could probably do this now, but, shrink this quite a bit. So the crystal chamber is quite a bit shorter, because if I could shrink this handle where it was shorter, that would be nice. But, if I was going to do something that was my own design, like Jeremy and Benji just did, it would be something about, maybe cleaning up a shorter version of this hilt or Mako, and, cleaning it up, making it a little bit more modern. But that's that hilt. So that's pretty cool. And by the way, I put an external kill key in it too. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's the recharge port right there. So that's pretty cool, because I can put the external kill key and charge it. It's Profi Saber. There you go. You have that kind of crap going on. But yeah, that's that. So I appreciate the question. That was a good question. That was an excellent question, Mundo. But yeah. So the next one was, do you prefer NeoPixel or baselit? NeoPixel. Thanks, Jeremy, by the way. That's cool. NeoPixel, of course. NeoPixel is awesome. What's your favorite Saber font and why? Well, I have 2 of them. So my first favorite Saber font is Crossguard by Sith. And there's a reason for that, because, and I've told this story to some offline, but I'll go ahead and tell it online now. Back in the Teensy Saber days, when we were first testing the smooth swing algorithms, back when, Plector Labs, Fan People, and Vader's Vault, were all telling us that open source was a fluke and this smooth swing was is a fad, that it was gonna go away like EL blades and it was a joke and it would never work and blah blah blah. And we were sending out these emails to all these font makers, and I'm not going to name names, but there were some big name font makers that are still big name font makers right now, and we had emailed them asking them to, hey, get involved and help us make these smooth swing sound fonts, and none of them wanted to do it. They all were kind of like treating us like we had COVID before COVID even existed. We were like the Black Plague, all those open source people, you evil open source people, you're screwing up with a good system that we had running. And Sith comes along, and Sith, CrossGuard wasn't the first one he did. He did like some Jedi font that I think eventually turned into the Light, or I think it was the Light. But then he did CrossGuard, the first iteration of it, and sent it to me and emailed it to me. And I put it on. And the cool thing was I put it on my CrossGuard. It was, a teensy Saber CrossGuard that I had first installed. And I'm swinging this thing around and I'm like, oh my God, he is going to be rich. I'm like, this is insane. And if the Plector people could only see, and that one guy that sided with Plector and didn't run the smooth swing fonts and didn't get involved in making them, and he's still out there, and now he's like pushing his fonts on the open source and the Profi board page all the time. I see him advertising, and every time I'm like, you're playing catch up, dude. You're never going to catch up to Sith and Kyberphonics. You're never going to catch up to them. You should have listened when I emailed you, and you messed up. And it wasn't just him. It was a lot of other people. But, there was a lot of cliques going on back then that were trying to nuke Teensy Saber and in the initial iterations of Profi board. So that's why I like CrossGuard. That's the rest of the story on why CrossGuard is my favorite sound font by Sith. Now, tie goes to the runner. No, I haven't heard that. I haven't heard BK's new font, Shadow Hunter, but I'll have to check that out. But my next favorite sound font is A New Hope Graphlex by Kyberphonics. Now, the funny thing is, me and Jesse were on a live stream, I think on Jeremy's channel, and we were talking about A New Hope, and he's like, that's just not one of my better selling fonts. And I'm like, what? That's like the coolest font. So like you can battle the droid with that font, like the remote and the drone, and it feels like you're in the movie. And the force quotes are like all the conversations that were happening in the Falcon when they were on the way to Alderaan, and you're like, this font is the greatest font of all time. It's just a great font. And Jesse's like, it just doesn't sell. His Vader was his number one, but A New Hope Training was, that's my actual favorite font. I love A New Hope Training, especially since he redid the smooth swing and swings on it to make it sound really Graphlexy. And it actually surpassed my favorite Graphlex font, which used to be Graphlex 4 by Juan Sith. Not anymore. Don't like that font anymore. Now it's A New Hope Training by Kyberphonics Sound Fonts. That is my favorite font currently. Do you machine your own hilts? No, I do not machine my own hilts, but you guys should have seen what was happening when I made this hilt. So this is all MHS parts. This is an aluminum pipe, this outer shroud here that makes the swallowtail that I cut. And then I had to file it. Like you can see, it's round. So this is like hand machined, it's not machined, it's hand machined. There's no lathe, there was no nothing. You can even see like here where this curves down here. I don't know if that's going to show up on screen, but all that was hand filed over long periods of time. And you can see how this is round. That was hand filed there. Oh no, it's worse than a Dremel. I actually put a metal cutting blade in my chop saw, and I'm sitting there with my chop saw coming down on these pieces. Like I'll show you Dremel work on TCSS shroud. Stand by. I gotta go get my piece of shroud if I can find it. So my lightsaber closet. So here's like some Dremel work on TCSS shroud. This is MHS shroud that goes over MHS parts, And, here's some mad Dremel work. So, when you're doing this kind of Dremel work on TCSS Shroud, oh yeah, you put that on the Grandmaster golf chassis. That's awesome. That's so cool that Cole, you got that hilt. Man, I don't know. You stole that thing. I want to build one of those chassis so bad. And when you got that thing off the internet, I'm like, oh my God, Cole, because there's not that many of those around. The one Jeremy just built is the most recent one. And I know Goth commented on it, but I thought that he would have been, more excited about it. That's such a great chassis. And the fact that you got it is, oh yeah, I know. It couldn't have gone to a better person. That's like a $5,000. That's the hilt and the lightsaber, that's, $4,000 to $5,000. I mean, legitimately, I would think is what that lightsaber is worth. But at any rate, that thing is awesome. So that's so cool, Cole, that A&H Training is on that. I definitely love that sound font by Jesse. It's cool. So do I machine my own hilts? I answered that. Have you ever built an MHS saber from TCSS? Yes, and I showed those to you. So, I've showed you, this was the second Nihilus hilt I did. I actually did another one that's earlier that's on my YouTube channel. And then the first lightsaber that I ever built was MHS, and it's here. And I have a couple more MHS sabers that I plan on building that are in my hilt collection that need to be installed so I can sell them and get rid of them. But, like I said earlier in the video, I don't want any more sabers. I have what I need. Now blasters, that's going to be my new thing. If y'all didn't see, like in the beginning of the video, so you thank Jeremy for this crap too. Jeremy and Benji and Mountain Sabers are killing me with this 3D printing stuff. So this is the beginning of, this is an E11, and, this is my E11 that I'm printing, and I'm actually going to put Profi board and Tricree and NeoPixels in here, and I'm actually going to put the Profi board and the battery and the magazine. That's not a clip, that's a magazine. A clip goes in your hair. A magazine feeds your weapon with ammo, and and then in the back here in the heckler counter, I'm actually going to put an OLED screen right there. So this is going to be a really, when I finish printing this and putting it together, it's going to be really awesome. I talked about that in the beginning of the video. So I just finished printing all the parts of that E11 Blaster. Now I have to sand them and paint them and, get ready to assemble. So that's, oh yeah, Jeremy, you guys opened Pandora's box. So now I'm like the health lightsabers. I'm 3D printing stuff, and everybody go away and leave me alone. No more lightsabers. I'm building stuff. And that's how, oh yeah, I'm having so much fun doing this. And, this is just the beginning. And I printed this. I printed this on my printer. And this is just the beginning. I'm so excited about the 3D printing stuff. And there it is, which that's the printer that Benji told me to get right here. And oh my God, I'm having so much fun with it. I'm like, it's stoked so much. It's renewed so much excitement in me about Star Wars and prop building and costuming and everything else that I can't thank Benji and Jeremy enough. It's 3D printers partially the reason for my 3-month hiatus, because like I was going crazy. Like the first time I printed something on it, I was like, get the hell out of here. Why didn't I do this before? Where has this been? The chassis that I have for this that Jeremy sent me the STL files for, I printed it and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So, Jeremy, there's your chassis that you sent me. He's already printed that out. Oops, I haven't finished doing all that stuff, but that's going in the crossguard. But printing out the chassis that's just minor. It's all the other stuff. It's the blasters, it's the helmets, it's my God, the possibilities on 3D printers are just crazy. And I love building models. So hang on a second. I wanted to show you guys something. The business stuff is in here too. Well, let's see if I can find something. I'm going to drop a bunch of stuff. All right. So we're all going to die. Ugh. So that's all my wife's business stuff back there. So, models. I this is an F-111. This is an Air Force fighter bomber. This is like the plane that bombed Tripoli in Libya in the 1980s, when we went there and we flew from the base in England and bombed Libya. This is the plane that did it. And I love building models. And basically what 3D printing is now I got to get the gears lined up on this thing. That's going to drive me crazy. So there's the F-111. And, it's old. I mean, I think I built this F-111 when I was in high school. It's one of my favorite model builds of all time. But the details that are in there and that I did in there are crazy. And, this was such a cool model, and the camo paint job on it. I mean, I did all that. So the cool thing about all this is I love model building. I have since I was a kid. And now I'm printing out these, this blaster, this is the parts list on this blaster. And, there's hundreds and hundreds of parts that are going into this blaster. And not only that, I have to 3D print a chassis that's going to hold the LED module, the Profi board, the battery, and the speaker to go inside this thing and put it all together, make it function, make it work. And to me, solving all those problems and the engineering of all that are exciting. I can install Graflexes and stuff, and simple chassis in my sleep. But solving all the engineering problems that I'm going to have to solve to make that E11 work are exciting. And it's not just engineering on the blaster itself, it's on the computer, and then painting it up to make it look really like the E11 in Star Wars is, I'm very excited about it. So, Jeremy, if you haven't heard me say so, thank you. And Benji and Mountain Sabers. Thank all three of you for getting me into 3D printing. You guys are right, but you guys also created a monster because now I'm like the hell of lightsabers. I got stuff to do. I got stuff to print. See you later. That's the problem. 3D printing is it's like its whole other nightmare. Yeah, well, that's the thing. So, Chet, whatever you want to 3D print, you can print. Like, you don't have to go to the store to buy a model anymore. You print the model out at home. And that's crazy to me. Hell, there's guys 3D printing racing drones, all kinds of crap. And you don't even have to go buy stuff from the store anymore. You just make it at your house. That is a power that I never thought we would have as, citizens. It's just crazy. So next question. Which YouTube channels have you watched Saber stuff on? All the above. Solo Sabers, Mundo Mondays, Shamim was really the first big one. SoCal Sabers, before he screwed us. And, of course, Frederick, Vet 263. There's another one that I really learned a lot about installing from, which was Alaska Vader, which he used to be the president of the Sith Lord Detachment. But I think he's kind of dropped off the map because he's been busy with work. But he actually showed me how to install my first lightsaber. The Kylo Saber. So, a lot to him too. And of course, Jeremy and Benji. I love watching anything that Jeremy and Benji are on, especially Benji, because he's such a disaster of a human being, but in a good way. You know what I mean? Benji is a cool guy. I would love to meet Benji in person. I'd love to meet all y'all in person, but Benji is just, something's wrong with that dude, man. I don't know. Favorite lightsaber YouTube channel. Wow. That's hard. Solo Sabers is kind of got the master of the market on that deal right now. Jeremy's putting out so much content. I don't know how you can ignore his channel. And the Eccentric Artisan. Oh yeah, that's cool. There's this the Welding Geek. Which he does a lot of Mandalorian cosplay, but he's actually making a Metal Mandalorian like Clint. Clint's been posting about the Metal Mando build that he's doing, but there's a guy on YouTube called the Welding Geek, I think it is. And I like him. And there's this other, oh yeah, Jeremy, your channel's freaking crazy. I watch your videos all the time. I don't comment on them all, but I watch your channel. I'm going to put another one up here, Av. If any of y'all want to check out something kind of funny, this guy's from Canada, and he's a machinist. He does a lot of machining, but his name is Av. And it's not really a lightsaber channel per se, but he is a Star Wars fan. He does like Star Wars. But Av will teach you all sorts of profanity that you never knew in English and French, because he speaks, I think French is his native language, but he can curse in English like a sailor. So if you like new, interesting ways of using profanity, Av is your guy. He's got a great YouTube channel, but that has nothing to do with lightsabers, but that is a great YouTube channel, Av is, for those of y'all that haven't seen his channel. Let's see. If you could hang out with anyone in the Saber community for a day, who would it be and why? Benji, Jeremy, Benji probably, but Benji because he's just funny as shit. I mean, I would think that meeting Benji in person is probably much worse, because I would imagine that Benji's like turned down to like 1 or 2 on the internet, and probably in real life, and he's on 10 or 11, and everybody's like, oh man, I can only take this guy for about 5 minutes because, he's out of control. So I would imagine Benji would. Oh yeah. Yeah. So, Jeremy, that was a lot of work on the Mando armor. And by the way, on that Mando armor, I'll get it down, Jeremy, so you can see it real quick. So it was kind of crazy. And I'll show it. So, when I first printed this, it looked like this on the inside. It's black. It was printed in black PLA. And, I had to sand it, prime it, and then I painted it silver. And when I painted it silver, after I painted it silver, I put 2K gloss on it. And then I fine sanded the 2K gloss. And then after I fine sanded the 2K gloss, I applied graphite. And then I 2K glossed again. And then I sanded the 2K gloss with 2000 grit sandpaper. And then I put graphite on it again. Now, the bad thing about graphite finishing is that you'll have to apply graphite to it in the future. But as far as looking like metal, that looks like metal. In person, it definitely looks like metal. I mean, y'all can see the reflection in that. And that's crazy that I was able to get that finish. And I got close to that on the helmet, but not as good. So I'm actually doing another helmet right now, trying to get the helmet a little bit better. But I may work on the helmet that I already did. But that was doing graphite, and there's a graphite method. So, Jeremy, if you want to learn that method, I can try to get you to the video that I think was the best video I found on the graphite method. That guy was a automotive finishing guy, and I found his video was pretty spot on, and I followed his stuff to the letter, and I got those really metallic results, which was really cool. But my God, it was a lot of work. I mean, you're talking just in this one piece alone, maybe I have 40 hours. So it's a lot of work. But, once you get it done, you're done. I already got the suit. The Mando suit is en route. I ordered it on Amazon. So I actually ordered 2 sets of coveralls. So I'm going to have 1 set of coveralls, and I'm going to cut the sleeves off the other one because he has dual sleeves, if y'all haven't noticed. So I have to cut the sleeves off the second set and sew them into the first set. And then I have to sew all kinds of white seams onto the coveralls to make them work. But that's coming next. That's the next big bill. Who's the funniest person in the lightsaber community? Probably Benji. Who inspires you? Jeremy, Benji, all the above. Cole Weathers, who's probably one of the nicest guys in the Saber community. And, Cole's definitely done me a bunch of favors that I owe him big for, and I can't repay him back. Mundo Cabrera inspires me because he's exciting, he's funny, he's enthusiastic about the hobby. Space Windu, always Shamim, and Cal Jerome. I talked earlier in the video about who's my favorite installer, and I said Cal. So Jeremy, don't be offended. There's a reason it was Cal, and it was because he's such a tycoon over there in London. But certainly Jeremy is probably the most prolific installer that there is. And some of the hilts Jeremy's done, he just did a Graphics Grandmaster. Jeremy, if you can do that Graphics Grandmaster, there's nothing you cannot do. That's a difficult chassis. That's why it just hasn't been tackled by very many people. There's a lot of things that go on in that chassis. Do you watch any Star Wars animated series? What's your favorite, if so? You know, I'm not as big into the animated series as I am the live action movies and shows per se, but Rebels, I did watch that, and one of the things in Rebels that was pretty cool was the duel between Vader and Ahsoka, and I really like that. So I guess Rebels is my favorite live action series or animated series. Sorry, Rebels. Clone Wars cool, but I think Rebels was a little bit better. Do you watch the live action Star Wars series? And if so, which is your favorite? Yes. And my favorite is obviously The Mandalorian, which is why I'm building all this stuff. I did like, don't get me wrong, I like Kenobi, but there's just something about The Mandalorian, whether it's Baby Yoda, Grogu, or I don't know. That show is so Star Warsy to me. The last season probably wasn't as good, and I think part of that's because the actor's kind of a not a very nice guy or whatever. But the rest of that series is just gold. You know what I mean? Absolute gold. Of all the movies and all the animated series and live action series, who is your all-time favorite character? Darth Vader. Still is not going to change. I would say that, close second is going to be, Kylo Ren and The Mandalorian. Those are close seconds on Darth Vader. So nothing really changed my mind on that. What moment stands out as your favorite scene? Which was it? It's always going to be on Tatooine when Obi-Wan Kenobi handed Luke the Graflex and said, this is the weapon of a Jedi Knight. That's my favorite all-time scene in any Star Wars movie ever. What kind of music do I listen to? And I know I'm kind of rushing through this, but we're coming up on an hour. Yeah, and then Mandalorian is crazy. What kind of music do I listen to? Metallica, Megadeth, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, 80s metal, basically is what I grew up listening to. AC/DC, Def Leppard, kind of rocky, not really metal, but that's what I listen to. Do I listen to audiobooks on Star Wars? No, but I did read a lot of Timothy Zahn's novels after Return of the Jedi. I read Jedi Twins, Jedi Academy, Heir to the Empire, a lot of the post novels by Timothy Zahn that Kathleen Kennedy, that bitch that she is, took out of being canon. And now it seems like a lot of the stuff from Timothy Zahn's novels are getting written back in. But yeah, I mean, now I listen to country and Western. I'm like a hillbilly, mainly because Jen listens to country all the time. So I kind of have to listen to country, but some of it I kind of like. Some of it I kind of like, but some of it is still stupid because it's country. But yeah, metal, which is crazy. I saw Judas Priest and Metallica in concert when I was a little kid. Well, I wasn't a little kid. I mean, I was in high school, but it was crazy. What other hobbies, pastimes do you have? Well, I showed you model building, costuming. I play the bagpipes. I'm the pipe major in our police pipe band. Not for long, probably. I'm going to back off on that a little bit because that was taking a bunch of my time too. And I'm probably going to back off of being as big of a role in the bagpipe band as I have been, because I'm trying to reclaiming my time. And the bagpipes definitely take up a lot of my time. I also play ice hockey. I had a game last Sunday night. I scored a goal, but I also made defensive blunders that allowed a couple of goals in. So my goal kind of got wiped out. Yep, 90s country. 90s country is okay. Who's my favorite sports team? Carolina Hurricanes. I don't watch I used to watch a lot of NASCAR until Davey Allison died in 1993, and then I stopped watching NASCAR. I don't watch baseball. I'm probably the only red-blooded American male that does not watch football. I do like American football. I don't watch football. The only professional sport that I watch nowadays is ice hockey, and that's pretty much all I'm interested in, because everything else is just playing with balls. It's my favorite color, red and black. Actually, my favorite colors are all in my logo back here, red, black, and silver, which is cool because that's also Carolina Hurricanes colors, which is awesome. Oh, I also scuba dive. Y'all should know that. Scuba dive for Megalodon teeth, which is how I got my name, Megtooth Sith. F-111 pilot. F-111. Aardvark. That's a badass airplane right there. Definitely a badass airplane, Bobby. Do I own any pets? Yes, I have a dog, and his name is Risky, and you should see my dog bearing Kylo Ren's lightsaber right there. I want to show you guys that picture. Stand by. I'll show it to you. Risky with Kylo Ren's lightsaber. My son made that for me, and yeah, I mean, Risky goes everywhere with me. Like I said earlier, we go on our boat to an island, and some of y'all may have seen the videos on my YouTube channel of Risky on the island and going to get the Frisbee, and that's his island. He owns it, all of it. It's his, the whole island. So, yeah. And me and Risky go running every morning together. I wake up at 4:30 and go running 4 miles because I'm fat. And, you know, I mean, I've lost 70 pounds, by the way, y'all. I don't know if I've talked about that. So I go running every morning with Risky. Risky goes with me. We're both getting old. This is my birthday month. I'll be 52. Risky will be 11. So we're both old men going out on our runs trying to get skinny. And, you know, this is the second time Risky has helped me lose a lot of weight. And that dog has saved my life. When he dies, it's going to tear out my soul. And I'm not looking forward to that day. I'm going to need some help. But at any rate, I'll get through it. But I do love Risky a lot. And by the way, my TKID number, which is down there in the doobly-doo on the screen, right under my name, TK74759. 74759, if you look it up in numerics on the phone, that's Risky. TK Risky, RISKY. So that's where my my 501st Legion TKID comes from. It's actually my dog's name, Risky. So that's pretty cool. Another thing you guys didn't even know about. Do I have a family, children? Yes. So from my previous marriage, my first marriage, I have a son that I raised. He's 29 now. He's married. He has 2 kids. And, you know, so I'm a grandfather by my son. And, you know, he has both a son and a daughter. In fact, my grandson was born on Thanksgiving of 2022, on Thanksgiving Day. They were supposed to be over here for Thanksgiving, and they got rushed to the hospital so she could give birth. And we had to take Thanksgiving dinner to the hospital this year. So we spent our Thanksgiving at the hospital this year when Owen was born. Owen Thomas, he's named after me. So that's pretty cool. I'm pretty proud of my son and his wife and their children. And he's also, you know, raising his other family members too. So my son's really kind of stepping up and taking on some burdens that I took on with him. And I'm really proud of him. He's really a good kid. And he works, you know, I was pissed because my son dropped out of college. You know, he was in college and he dropped out and he went to work and he was an appliance repairman. And I was like, man, I don't know, Caleb, you know, I think you're messing up by dropping out of college and doing that. But then the funny thing is he lives in a nicer house than I live in. And he's doing really good. And him and his wife are actually going to own the company he works for. So he's doing really good. So I'm super proud of how he did in life. And then, of course, I have since gotten divorced from my previous wife in 2018. But that thing went way bad in 2006. And, oh, yeah, Risky will help you lose a few pounds, Bobby. He'll take you on a tear. He loves running. He'll pull you. He'll pull you across the finish line. He's like, come on, let's go. He'll whip you into shape, man. He's a crazy dog. I love running with him because he inspires me. In the morning, like he wakes me up. He's like, hey, Dad, it's 4:30. It's time to go to the park. And I'm like, all right, asshole, just give me a minute. Everybody calm down, you know, but he sits there and bugs the piss out of me until I wake up. So I have to keep all my jogging clothes right by the bed. And then I get up and take him to the damn park. And we do our 4 miles. And then I bring him home. And this morning, he was so excited. When we got home, he was still doing zoomies in the front yard. And I'm like, boy, you're 11 years old. We just ran 4 miles. You should not be having the zoomies. But he did. You know, he's still wide open, man. I love that dog. Do you think we'll ever see another Star Wars live action series and movies again? I hope so. But I don't know. I think I want it to be maybe in an era before A New Hope. I don't know. I just hope whatever they do, they get rid of the sequel era. What happened there with the sequels? While I do like Kylo Ren, I thought they squandered his character. Don't like where that all went. That's personal opinion. Nothing against Star Wars. Just I thought they could have done so much more with the sequels. I was disappointed. I actually like the prequels better than the sequels. Phantom Menace I thought was, looking back on it, everybody was bitching about the Phantom Menace back when it came out. And now when I go back and watch the Phantom Menace, I'm like, man, that's an awesome movie. Aside from Jar Jar Binks, the Phantom Menace rules. And I really liked the Attack of the Clones, and of course I like Revenge of the Sith. So I like the prequels a lot better than the sequels that came out after the original trilogy. So what era do I want it to look like? I think I already said that. I think before A New Hope would be pretty cool. Old Republic would be cool. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? In 10 years, I hope to be working as a welder or a computer programmer or a machinist for SpaceX in Cape Canaveral for the Starship project. That is my dream. Bobby Susanbach knows that. I've talked about that with Bobby. But I still want to live in Wilmington, North Carolina. This is going to be, home. But, I'll probably have a crash pad, an apartment, or a condo in Titusville and work for SpaceX in Cape Canaveral. That's a lifelong dream. I want to be a part of men going to Mars, humans going to Mars. I misspoke there. Human beings going to Mars, men and women going to Mars. And I think being a part of that is huge. I'm an Apollo kid. I was born in 1971 when the Apollo missions were still happening. It's been 50 years is way too long for it to have been for us to put human beings on another heavenly body in outer space. And, if y'all aren't watching, SpaceX and Elon Musk is working with Starship to make that happen. And I think it's going to happen well within our lifetimes, and I want to be a part of it. So I'm probably going to go down there and work with SpaceX there when I retire from the police department here, which I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to making that happen. So I'll be with SpaceX in 10 years, I'm hoping. When are you going to stop watching Star Wars stuff and grow up? That's the final question, and that will be never. The other week, and, before I wrap up completely, I was just going to say, the other week, when I first got the Stormtrooper costume done, and I put it all on, and I was going outside to get pictures taken, Jen was yelling in the house because she couldn't move because she's had surgery. She can't move. She's like, don't go outside wearing that. The neighbors are going to see it. And all the neighbors were like driving by and walking by, and she was pissed. She was really mad that the neighbors all saw me in my Stormtrooper outfit. And I was just like, Merry Christmas. The shitter was full. Welcome to the neighborhood. Your neighbor is a Star Wars nerd. So when am I going to grow up? Never. Never. I will love Star Wars until the day that I die. That's a weird thing about us Star Wars nerds. So yeah, I do want to work for SpaceX, and I'm pretty excited about all that. That's the future. So with that being said, that's going to wrap up tonight's episode 4 of Saber Nerds and Old Hope. Yes, she got her cast off, and she's in a boot now, but she still can't drive. She actually took her first steps in 2 months today on her foot, and I told her, I said, don't get too greedy, Jen. So she took her first steps today, which I'm pretty proud of her. But I don't want her to push it too much. She actually went back to work too, which my wife, she's a substitute teacher at an elementary school, and she works with EC kids, which are behavioral kids, and it's a difficult environment to work in. Like a lot of times the teachers get assaulted by the kids, which is just a normal part of their everyday routine now, which is sad, but I mean, it is what it is. But she missed her kids so much, she wanted to get back to see him, and she's sending me pictures of the kids, and I'm like, yeah, wow, be with the kids, just try to protect your leg as best you can. And but she was so happy to be back to work with the kids today. it's hard for me to hold her back from that. So yeah, I mean, my life is really good now. Since I married Jen, and this 3D printing thing is a nightmare. If you guys don't want to go down the rabbit hole, don't get a 3D printer, because you can make so many things with a 3D printer. You'll never want to build a lightsaber again. It's a crazy rabbit hole. But at any rate, I'm getting ready to wrap the stream up there because I went way long. If Birch was on here, Birch would be really mad because we went way, way, way beyond the time we were supposed to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put something in there for Birch. Birch was going through an awful lot. If y'all didn't see his Facebook posts, I think Birch is, having a lot of stuff with health problems with his family and with his friends. And everybody keep Jeff Birch in your prayers. Reach out to him. Make sure that he knows you're thinking about him. But I hope everybody has a great week too. And thank you all for joining in. And if you missed the beginning, go back and watch it, because I actually showed some pretty cool stuff in the beginning, including my plans with the E11. So you can go back and watch that stuff. But thank you all for tuning in, and hopefully you tune in next week and we'll have somebody on there. I want to have Cole and Jeremy and, Benji. I got to have Benji on to do a second part because we didn't even finish him because he's so long-winded. But I'm going to get everybody back on and get the Saber Nerds back up and running and keep it going every week so we can get to know members of our Saber community. But thank you all for joining in. Thank you all for entertaining, listening to me. And subscribe, hit that notification bell, and may the Force be with you, or the dark side as it were. We'll see y'all next week. Thank you, everybody, for watching. As usual, I really appreciate y'all tuning in on my channel. And as always,